So it is Monday, and Dan Campbell is already back to giving us the bye week updates. We were hoping to get a few things out of this press conference today that was going to help shape up what we're looking forward to coming this Sunday. And we got a little bit. We got some good news for you. So, first and foremost, look, the Lions are going to bring Monty back as soon as possible. And according to what Dan said today, that Ragnow, Jackson, and Monty all practiced today, but nothing's really known until they suit up tomorrow and put some pads on. See where it goes. Most important thing is that a healthy offensive line hasn't been together since week 1 of this season. And that was the last time they all played together. And we started losing guys right away. So the Lions are used to this. They're used to having to shift the offensive line formations up week in and week out. It's been going on for 3 seasons now, if not longer. And that's a huge credit to Hank Fraley and what he's been able to do, working as the coach of this offensive line. And you'll see at the end of this video, there's going to be a video that pops up where I talk about that. And I talk about Hank Fraley and giving him his flowers and what I think assistant coach of the year right now, in my opinion. Probably deserved it last year. So we'll see where that goes. Look, the Gibbs versus Monty being the number one. That's been a hot point all over the social media interwebs, if you will. A lot of people are saying, we want to see Gibbs. We want to see Gibbs. He's our number one guy, man. He's got to be out there. Yeah, I wouldn't do that just yet. And I'm not saying that Gibbs doesn't deserve his flowers for what he did last week. It's just, who did he do it against, right? And who has Monty been going up against week in, week out when he's in for the last 4 or 5 years now? So, in my opinion, they're going to get a fairly equal share of touches the rest of the season, especially going up against the defenses that they're going up against. I think that, they're going to utilize both of them as needed. But I still accept and appreciate that Monty's probably going to get the boatload of the work. Again, we'll see where the season goes, but like Dan Campbell said, expect it to be a running back by committee at this point, and nothing different. Gibbs will get his touches. Dan said, Gibbs will get his touches, but where is it going to go? Look, I think we want them both healthy. I don't want to overplay, one guy over the other and burn them out. Thankfully Gibbs, has got pretty fresh legs at this point. I'm excited for either one because we've seen what both of them can do when they're having, a good game behind a healthy offensive line. And that's what we should expect this Sunday. News about Trevor Nowaski. So it was interesting to hear Dan say that Nowaski was getting poached off the practice squad. So they had to elevate him and put him up on the 53-man roster, which I believe now he has to stay up for at least 3 weeks or 2 more weeks, if I'm not mistaken. But they promoted Trevor Nowaski largely because of the fact that he was about to get poached. His development and growth has been outstanding, according to Dan Campbell. So losing him was not an option. That's not something that they were going to be comfortable with. There was some speculation that Nowaski's elevation was due to Rodrigo going into more of a fullback role. And I don't know if I really bought that. I don't think Rodrigo's done playing linebacker by any means. I just think that he's going to fill in at that position as needed. Dan Campbell said the focus right now is third quarter offense and defense. Both sides got to get better. He really wants to see Khalif Raymond, getting going in the special teams. He said, we're getting close. Leaf has been close, but just hasn't clicked yet. So it'd be nice to see, what Ben Johnson, Dan Campbell, and the rest of the staff are dialing up for what's going to be an exciting second half to this season. There was a little bit of a talk about DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones. If you don't know, then here you go. Donovan Peoples-Jones was traded for by the Lions to the Browns, or from the Browns at the trade deadline. And look, this guy has the opportunity right now to be a stellar piece of this offense, given the fact that we don't have anybody like him. We haven't had anybody like him. Calvin Johnson was the best contested catch, go up and get it guy that we've had 20 years, right? After him, Kenny Galladay was kind of that guy for a little bit. And I don't really know of anybody else that we've had on this roster that did that. Now, he's not an overly impressive guy when it comes to size, from what's on paper anyway, 6'2", 204. But it's his mentality that jumps off the page, right? It's how he goes up and he fights for it. It's how he works back to the quarterback and is aggressive, at the point of attacking the ball, high pointing the ball. He wants every possession. He's not giving up anything. So I'm excited to see, what DPJ does in this offense, but little caution to the wind here. Dan Campbell did say, let's see what happens after all of his the mental checks. DPJ's got to get used to the resources here. But he is excited to have him on the offense and feels that he will help this team, but he's got to, get through all of these first pieces of the transition before he really becomes an active part in the offense. So this weekend, I would not expect a lot from DPJ. You can give it a couple of weeks and we'll see where it ends up, is my guess. I guess that's my gut feeling. Overall, team's playing great. Look, to get 6 wins, you have to do a lot of things right. And you're going to do, a lot of things wrong, and you have to be able to overcome it, adapt, and make up for the deficiencies, right? So there's still a lot for this team to clean up. And that's not a surprise to anyone. I mean, every football team right now in America has got things to clean up. And it's no surprise that the Lions have a few extra things to clean up, and they're getting a bye at a perfect opportunity right now to readjust, refocus, re-energize, and go out and finish strong. So major point by Dan Campbell is the self-induced issues, right? The self-inflicted, wounds, if you will, the penalties. We don't have a whole lot by way of, personal foul type penalties, the stupid stuff, the after the whistle stuff. We don't really have much for that, but it's the fumbles. The interceptions are really not that big of a deal. Jared Goff's had a few bad timed ones, but again, nobody wants interceptions. But when you look at his production versus interceptions, he's doing just fine. And the fumbles, I think, are the bigger, more critical area that needs to be addressed. There's just been too many this season. So that's a big point of emphasis by Dan Campbell moving forward to go along with the third quarter. The defense and offense, he felt, have a lot to do here. And they need to start fast on offense, and they need to finish stronger on defense and get opposing teams out of there, 3 and outs in their first possession coming after the half. Eye is on the prize for this team playing its best ball in December, right? That's what everyone's waiting for. Are we going to kind of crescendo this season into December where things are really going to start to matter a whole lot more? And again, as Dan Campbell said, there's a ways to go yet. And I'm excited to see where he can bring this team. My question is this, and I'd love to know in the comments, will we see a full playbook out of Ben Johnson before we get to the playoffs? I don't think we've even seen a third, to be honest with you. When I look at the tape, I see a lot of redundancy. I see similar formations, right? Little minor details change, and you could call it a different play. But quite honestly, I see a lot of the same play just being run a little bit differently. And that's okay. It's good to mix it up, right? That's what you're expecting out of a, fantastic play caller and someone that, really understands an offense like Ben Johnson does and the job that he does do. we're looking to see a little bit more creativity, not so much with the trick plays, but more creativity in utilizing the players that we have on this team, I think, a little bit differently. From the outside looking in, from, my, armchair GM position that I have, that's what I would hope to see. And I hope that he's reserving some of this stuff till later in the season. And I hope that they're working on it, throughout the week, keeping it fresh, keeping it ready to go. Because we're going to need it. We're going to need it come playoff time. So that's it for today's update. And do us all a favor. If you have not subscribed, take a look below. If you haven't, please click it. Come along for the ride. We'd love to have you guys, part of Rock Down Detroit Lions and the Rock Down Podcast Network. We're going to be branching out to covering, all 32 NFL teams, NBA, MLB, NASCAR, F1, you name it. We're going to be doing it. We've got a multi-year build out in front of us, but that's our plan. So we'd love to have you guys around, and we appreciate all of your sponsorship and your support so far. If you feel so ever inclined and you want to send us a super chat or something during a live stream, hey, it's all turned down now. I don't really understand that stuff, but it's great. Any way you want to support us, we're trying to support you too. All right, y'all. I hope you all have a good day. And as always, go One Pride, go Detroit Lions. And until next time, I hope you have a wonderful day and take care. Bye-bye.